Okay, so we have gotten some concept art for Avengers Doomsday, and honestly, I think this looks absolutely amazing. Like, I just honestly love this, and I'm making this video discussing it because I am so excited for Avengers Doomsday. So whenever we get something new, like concept art for the film, it just gets me even more excited, and getting to see another look of these characters is really cool as well. But beyond all of that, I do think it is worthy of discussion, because, right, Avengers Doomsday is going to be such a large film, so it's interesting seeing which characters they choose to put in things like the concept art, right? Because there's so many characters they could choose from, so the ones they do choose I always find interesting. Okay, so just starting off over here, you have Thor, and then beneath him you have the new Avengers, and then over beside them you have Ant-Man, and then right here you have Steve Rogers holding Mjolnir, and he's just wearing a black t-shirt, which I think is kind of hilarious, because you have everybody else who is fully suited up, and then you just have Steve over here in a black t-shirt, which I just think is just all around really funny. But then down here you have the X-Men, and I think, like, just like I said before, right, because Avengers Doomsday is going to be such a large film with so many characters, it's interesting to see which characters they do choose to put in things like concept art. And having Cyclops over here in the center is particularly interesting. Like, why him out of all of the X-Men, unless he does have a really big part in the film? Well, because, like, in the X-Men Avengers Doomsday teaser, right, he was there at the very end where he took off his visor, and then you just had the red lasers shooting out of his eyes, and it was awesome. So I do think he will have a pretty large part of this film, specifically with the X-Men. And then up here you have Doctor Doom with a mini Loki right under him, and then over here you have the Fantastic Four, and right above them you have Captain America with Falcon right behind him. Over here you have Shang-Chi, and then last but not least you have Shuri, and honestly I cannot remember the name of the guy standing beside her. Like, I remember the character, I just cannot remember his name right off the top of my head. So yeah, just as a whole, I think this is really cool. And just discussing a few small details that I noticed, right, you have Thor, which has the short hair like from Infinity War era, which we learned he would have this from the Thor teaser we got for Avengers Doomsday a while back. And just rounding back to Steve, man, like, they have to give him something other than a black t-shirt, right? Because, like, this is just a bit goofy, and in the film, if it's just him running around with everybody else just in his black t-shirt, it's gonna look pretty goofy. So I hope they do end up changing that in the film, and at some point do give him a suit, right? Because, I mean, I get what they're trying to go for. They don't want him in the Captain America costume, because then that does kind of undercut the real Captain America at this point, which is Sam Wilson. So they're just trying to do something different, but they can, you know, they can do him a little bit better than just a black t-shirt. That's all I'm saying, right? But then over here we have the new Avengers, and Yelena is confirmed to be in Brand New Day, because Kevin Feige did say, you know, he did say Yelena will have a big part in Avengers Doomsday, but you'll see her earlier than that, and the only film that's earlier than Avengers Doomsday is Spider-Man Brand New Day, so I'm excited to see her there. And then over here you have Bob over here in the background, just in what looks like just a random, like, jacket, and I'm excited to see his role within the film. And you have Bucky right here, which a lot of people have been speculating that he will die in Avengers Doomsday, which would make me very sad, but honestly would be a death that would work for the film to really give it some emotional weight, some emotional punch, because everybody loves Bucky, and he has gone on such a journey through the MCU that him doing like a big noble sacrifice or something like that in Doomsday, I think would really work and would solidify Doctor Doom as a worthy villain for this era of the MCU. And then you have Ant-Man over here, which I'm excited to see his role in the film. I know a lot of people don't really like Ant-Man in the Big 26 just because of Quantumania, but don't forget, the first two Ant-Man films were really cool, and he is still a really fun character, and honestly, I enjoyed Quantumania, and I enjoyed what they did with his character in that film, though that film does not really matter now because they have completely abandoned Kang and everything that film tried to build. But nonetheless, I am excited to see what Ant-Man does within this movie. Up here you have Thor, which I have theorized for quite some time now that he will die in Avengers Doomsday. And then over here you have Loki, and I think that Loki, I don't know if he makes it out of Doomsday. I'm going to be completely honest because, I mean, the one thing Doctor Doom is going to be going after that could possibly stop him is Loki, right? Loki, the god of stories, following Loki Season 2. So I'm excited to see what place he has in this film. I think we can all agree that the TVA will have a big part in the film, so Loki naturally fits into that, and Doctor Doom will be after that, and will likely be after the power that Loki holds. And over here, just going back to the Fantastic Four, I think it is really cool, the jackets that they have on over their suits. I just think it looks really cool, and it is a nice bit of characterization, right? Because you had their costumes in Fantastic Four First Steps, but now just to blend in a little bit better in the time period of mainline MCU, they have on these jackets that do naturally match their costumes, and I think it is really cool, and I think they look awesome. Over here we have Shang-Chi, and it is just really cool to see Shang-Chi again in the MCU. I'm going to be completely honest. And then up here, right, you have the one and only Captain America. And yeah, so that is our first bit of concept art for Avengers Doomsday. I think this is really exciting, and honestly, one unfortunate thing I have been seeing online is just some unfair hate, just hating on Avengers Doomsday and hating on this, and it's like, yeah, you're allowed not to be excited for the film, but all we have had are 4 teaser trailers and this concept art. That is really all we have had, so I don't think that's any, excuse just to call it straight up slop yet. I mean, once the film comes out and you decide you don't like it, it ends up being trash. Fine, you can call it slop, but at this point, when you haven't given the film a fair chance, I don't think it's really, just fair to call it slop, okay? But people love to hate on the MCU in 2026, but nonetheless, I think this is awesome. I was just surprised to see the amount of hate it got online, because I think this is really cool. Yeah, this is really cool. If you guys enjoyed today's video or any of my other content, please consider subscribing.